Hi, I'm Dave Sweet, and thanks for joining us again today. In our last episode, we had met with the foundation contractor, Mike Evangelesti, over at the building lot, and we got a sneak peek at what the lot looked like after we cleared some trees. Mike's been working diligently over there. He's got the footings in and continuing on. I think he's going to start working on some drains. But today, hey, we're going to meet with Bill Zdon. He's the builder I'm going to be using on this eco-friendly project here. And he has a great insight on some of the details and construction elements that would be needed for this high-performance, eco-friendly home. So let's go meet Bill. Come on. Hey, Bill. How you doing?
Dave, how are you?
Alrighty. Hey, I appreciate you taking your time out of your day here. You know, busy, a lot going on here. And, you know, we can talk about, the house that we're building and, what's involved and some questions I have. And, hopefully you can answer me on that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, Bill, you've been, doing a lot of construction in the area. I met you 25 years ago, one project over here where you were doing more general contracting or just plain builder. And now you've got into this high performance, eco-friendly. How did you get to that point?
Well, I always had an interest in being energy efficient. Just basic insulation. I just made sure it was done well and everything. And then getting challenged by one homeowner took me to another level. And now, there's so much to it. The science of it's taken me to understand wall physics related to construction, and just these houses can perform so much better than they ever have before. So
that's different, and like I said, even 25 years ago, I know you were very meticulous about everything, but now when you start to dig into it, find out just a little bit more can make a major difference, like some type of rigid insulation or vapor barriers or stuff like that, huh?
Oh, well, the science, and once you start understanding the science of everything that you've been doing, you can't believe. Wow. You had no idea what you were actually doing, but now you understand from a whole different depth, and it just starts carrying you forward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what does a builder / general contractor do? Granted, that's your title. What would that involve?
Well, I'm a general contractor, but I'm a builder first because we're very hands-on. We frame, we do the finish trim, everything in between, except for mechanicals. So I'm aware of everything that's going on, and now that I've added this whole energy efficient aspect to what we're doing, we're totally hands-on on that as well.
Yeah, I just had some questions on how we're actually going to insulate it. My question is, you got roof insulation, you got wall insulation, and you get them intersect. That seems like that's a really cold spot on most homes. Infiltration point and all that. Maybe we could look at a print and kind of get some ideas of how you've been doing it lately.
Yeah.
I brought this sheet along right here, and this was kind of a neat thing. It was kind of a reprint from one of the magazines. Kind of went through it with the architects, and we talked about different ways to do a high performance thing. Double stud walls, of course, comes to the top. Next one would be that Larson truss, where you built this truss on the outside of the building, whether it be using spray foam on the outside, on top of a thing.
There's so many ways.
Or here you're using engineered lumber, like on edge, like trusses.
Yeah, I like since I've been building on the shoreline for so long, high wind area, I've always liked to build a strong structure. So to me, many of these things actually go against that. I want to build a conventional, really strong structure, and then have your insulation value, the thermal envelope, be on the outside of that. So you've got the best of both worlds. You have really strong structure for the wind, and you're breaking the thermal bridging, and you got your exterior insulation.
Well, that's good. And that moisture inside is not going to condense in my wall cavity.
Absolutely.
If I keep that warm enough by insulation the outside, it's kind of what everybody's talking.
The other important aspect of that is if you're building more in a conventional way with advanced framing, every trade is coming onto something that they know. It's budget conscious.
Oh, okay. I do have a question for you. My main thing is like windows. Like we have the windows over here. Do you put them on the outside? Do you hold them to the inside? How do you handle that now that we added that rigid, like on that, the way we were going to do it here? What do you do with the window? Is it on the outside plane, inside plane? What have you had success with?
Actually, the windows perform best when they're set in, just like in a brick house. The windows are kind of set in. It's an old-fashioned look. All right, I'll show you, Dave. We'll put this whole window thing into perspective here.
Okay. Maybe I'll just stay in here and you can show me better. Yep. So what do we got here?
So here you can see the extended sill and the extended side jamb.
Right.
The windows in where it normally would be, standard construction.
Right.
And all these extended pieces is just to accommodate the foam.
Oh,
so your
okay.
window's set in.
Right.
It's in its own little environment. The wind eddies by.
Right.
The window performs better. And
I think it looks great from the outside. When you look at them over here, it has some depth to it, you know, in more ways than one.
Right.
You know,
right.
looking-wise depth, and of course, you know, we're getting on that, and it's all this detail that you do.
And the trim becomes more prominent. You have to remember, a window is literally a hole in the side of the house compared to this beautiful, heavy insulated wall we have, which is insulated exterior and interior. So if that window performs better setting in, that's where we want it.
Right. Awesome. 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 Well, you know, I'd like to get together with one of our, you know, Greg from the architectural firm, and you know, maybe go over some of these details. Make sure we include most of those on the print. You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
You know.
Hi, Bill. Greg Etchman,
Good to see
project
you.
manager.
Yep.
Yeah,
Good to
been
see you.
working with these guys on the plans. You kind of saw a highlight that was our concept drawing, and now we're just trying to get near that finished detail. So I wanted to bring Greg along. One of my first things were really, you know, like a door or that insulation. Do you have any place we could take a look and you could actually see this rigid insulation on the outside?
Well, too bad it wasn't a few months ago, but actually there's like one place left where we can see a little bit of that exterior foam. So that's right over here.
Oh, awesome. Let's go. Bill, you know, we talked about doing rigid insulation on the outside of the house. You know, how do we attach siding and doors and other things like that? Can you give us an example or show us?
Here's an opening. This is a door opening. And actually disregard this. This is a temporary door. Normally this would be a much wider jamb for the door, but just disregard that for now. It's a temporary door. But here you can see the 2 layers of foam, which is actually your thermal envelope. And then here is a nailer, which accommodates your siding. So this is 1 inch, 2 inch, and a 1/3 inch of wood, which is your siding nailing, which continues around the whole house. And it does the same detail around windows, doors, and that's pretty much what the whole system is.
Okay, now we get this, you know, membrane on top, so it's a little hard to see. Is there just a nailer right here by where the door would be, or is it all the way across this whole outside surface? Do we have 3 layers of rigid, or how did you do that? You know, I'm looking here at a nailer, but how did you, what do you do here?
Well, you have 2 continuous layers of foam on the whole building. And then the nailer, which is, like I said, around every door and window opening, has to accommodate your siding. If you have vertical siding, you need horizontal nailers. If you have horizontal siding, you need vertical nailers. So, and those are about every 12 to 16 on center around the whole building.
Oh, okay.
And then in between all those nailers, why leave a space? I add another layer of foam. So in a sense, you have 3 inches of foam around the entire building.
Right. And that nailer has a thermal break from the building, so we're not conducting that through to the building framing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's a good way to do it.
So on Dave's home, we're working on it. We're trying to accommodate rough openings for the doors and the windows. Are there any things that you do particular that we should know about?
Well, we're going to do the same system here, and depending what we choose, Dave and I will decide on the extent of the thickness of the foam. But added to that, the rough openings will actually oversize them, so we have inside the jamb, sides and head will have foam as well to accommodate another thermal break. So the rough openings will have to be oversized by whatever we decide.
Wow, awesome.
All right,
Well, I
perfect.
know you brought a drawing, Greg. Maybe we could just open it up in here and we all could kind of look at that and make sure we have that concept right.
Right,
that
that's
Bill's
a
been
great
working
idea.
on there. So, awesome. Bill, maybe we could use one of these cabinets in here to lay out the print.
Based on what we were discussing and working on the drawings back in the office, I'm showing 3 inches of rigid on the side of the house, and then doing 5 inches on the roof and carrying this, a 2x4, basically that flies out to the end to help intersect our, any trim that we may be using. Is that?
Correct. That 2x4 that's on top of the 5 inches of foam you're totally cutting off that cold. So it's just running out, and everything on the overhang is superficial and it's an aesthetic detail.
Okay.
Well, that looks good. It looks like a continuous envelope. If you look at it, that was my concern. What do we do here? But now if you look at it, it looks like, wow, all the way around the building is this continuous. It goes
Absolutely.
right to the intersection of the wall, goes up, and our overhangs and everything else. And so is this considered a cool roof? Is it what you're doing? You're creating an airspace on top of the insulation and then put the plywood in, and we'll use those sleepers, that kind of that air gap in between to be support the overhangs?
Right. You have to remember, too, that in conventional construction, you're creating an air gap within your structure. And just think about that. You're bringing in cold air into your rafter bays
Right.
that are almost part of your interior environment. And then your insulation has to work against that.
Right.
But in this case, your interior insulation is completely part of the interior structure. Your dew point is outside that structure. And then your 5 inches of foam is a whole nother entity on top of that, which protects everything on the interior. And then you're still venting that roof system on top of that foam.
Bill, if you think we've gone in the right direction here, we can continue on and get the rest of the set wrapped up so then Dave can get going on construction.
Right, and I think that's what you've done. You've got the general concepts here of the way we're going to move forward with our way of achieving an eco-friendly house, because there are, like I said, there's many ways of doing it. I feel this is a great way to do it because it's also budget conscious. So from here, we just have to start and get going.
Well, awesome, guys. Hey, thank you for taking your time. Greg, for coming down here and doing that. And Bill, we're meeting you at your job site and tied it up here. Sorry.
Bill, it was nice to meet you.
You too. Yeah, awesome. So this is great. You know, we're a team. We got to keep together and make sure we're all on the same page on what's going on with that. So I really appreciate it. Awesome.
And we'll be in contact this week with the drawings.
Good. Yeah, you want to keep going on that, some permitting, some other stuff like that to, as soon as we get that finalized, we can move forward on that part of the project. So, awesome.
Good.
Super, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Well, that was great. You know, we had some good information here. I had a lot of questions. I think we covered it. I think Greg's all set on what he needs to put on the plans there, and Bill gave us a lot of knowledge and stuff like that. So, hey, if you're experienced in super insulated or high performance homes, please let us know your experience and other things you've come across down there, because we'd like to know. Like I said, there is not just one way to do it. We feel this seems to be the best for construction and all that, so we're going to move forward on there. So we appreciate that. Join us on our next episode. We're going to meet with the solar guy, and we're going to actually do a siting at the property, because PV is going to be an important part of this eco-friendly home, that we want to offset some of that energy usage. So we're going to meet over there, and we're going to do a siting and get some ideas about trees and other stuff. So awesome. Come join us. Thanks. Bye.